Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. My husband's first love, Esme 1, attempted suicide and was hospitalized. To avenge Esme, when my husband tacitly allowed our 9-year-old son, Guagua, to punish me, Guagua snatched my phone and pushed me, thinly dressed and pregnant, out of the car, abandoning me on a mountain road in heavy snow. I dragged my injured foot, inching forward step by step through the freezing snow. The baby in my belly was gone without exception. Waking up in the hospital and looking back on my 10 years of ridiculous marriage, I finally came to my senses completely. I contacted a lawyer to prepare the divorce papers. From now on, I want neither my son nor my husband. The day before our 10th wedding anniversary, my husband Enzo Fu made headlines for carrying my half-sister Esme into a hotel. Overwhelmed by the shame of being labeled a homewrecker, she chose to end her life. I stood on the hospital steps watching as my husband Enzo Fu frantically rushed into the emergency room with our son following the ambulance. When he saw me standing there, Enzo Fu merely gave me an icy glance before brushing past me. My 9-year-old son Guagua stopped in his tracks. Despite the bustling hospital crowd, he shouted at me, "Was it you who tipped off the paparazzi? Mom, how could you be so shameless? I'm telling you, if anything happens to Auntie, I'll never forgive you. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. It was you. Mom, you're lying. Such despicable behavior will be punished." With a forceful push, Guagua sent me tumbling down the steps. Unable to keep my balance, the prenatal test results slipped from my grasp and flew away. By the time I got up from the ground, Guagua had already vanished without a trace. I picked up the test results and limped out of the hospital. The joy of pregnancy was shattered. My husband, the son I had painstakingly raised, didn't care about me at all. His heart belonged only to another woman. I don't know if the baby in my womb can still be born after 10 years of marriage with Enzo Fu. I've never felt this exhausted before. I know Enzo Fu doesn't love me. I know the one he loves is my half-sister, Esme 1. It's my fault for not being able to keep a man's heart. But why does the son I desperately gave birth to, who shares my blood, also treat me this way for Esme 1? What exactly did I do wrong? I thought Guagua's talk about punishing me was just casual words out of concern for Esme 1's anger, never expecting him to actually follow through. Enzo Fu stayed out all night due to Esme 1's suicide. While Guagua returned the next day, he no longer called me vicious or despicable, but instead changed his attitude. "Mom, today is your and Dad's 10th wedding anniversary. Dad has prepared a surprise for you at the mountain villa." Every year on my wedding anniversary with Enzo Fu, there are gifts. So without much thought, I was pulled into the car by Guagua. A blizzard was raging outside. When Guagua coaxed me into the car, I was still full of joy, never expecting it to all be a setup. When the car reached halfway up the mountain, Guagua suddenly told the driver to stop, then opened the door and pushed me out. The ground was covered in thick snow. I didn't feel any pain when I fell, but I did sprain my ankle. The pain made me cry out, and I turned my head to see the car door being shut. The window rolled down, revealing Guagua's innocent face. "This is a punishment. Punishing you, Mom, for being so cruel to Auntie. If you still don't learn your lesson, I won't let you be my mom anymore, and I'll make Dad divorce you." I was only wearing a thin coat, and my phone was still in the car. I begged Guagua to leave me the phone so I could call for help, but the only response I got was the car speeding away. Trailing white exhaust smoke, my son heartlessly abandoned me, pregnant on the mountain for another woman, in the midst of a blizzard with no one around. I had no choice but to trudge down step by step. I don't know how long I walked, but my legs felt as heavy as if they were filled with lead. The moment of exhaustion and despair was followed by a sharp pain in my lower abdomen, as warm liquid trickled down my thighs. Blood stained the white snow beneath my feet, and I collapsed weakly into the snow. When I regained consciousness, I was lying in a hospital bed, saved by a kind passerby. The nurse told me with sympathy that I had lost my baby. I lay in the hospital for a week. During that time, no one came to see me. My husband and the son I loved as dearly as my own life had both vanished. No, they only vanished from my sight. I heard the nurses taking care of Esme mention them. They were in the next room looking after Esme when I overheard the nurse giving me information. Mr. Fu is so good to his wife, staying by her side in the hospital. Their love makes me believe in romance again. Another nurse chimed in. That doesn't seem to be Mr. Fu's wife, does it? I heard she's his wife's sister. They're having an affair. It's disgusting. Cheating while married. The romantic nurse gasped. No way. Mr. Fu's son is here too, calling her mommy over and over. I wouldn't know about that anyway. The patient in the next room isn't the legal wife. She's the mistress. A husband's affair might be understandable, but when even the son treats the other woman well, you can imagine how terrible Mr. Fu's wife must be. If I were her, I'd rather just die. The two nurses walked away gossiping while I, the so-called wife who might as well die, stood there with a pale face, left with nothing but a bitter smile. I wasn't deaf or blind. Naturally, I heard every word from the next room clearly. I heard my husband tenderly caring for Esme, showering her with warmth and concern. I heard my son call Esme mom, and even say that this shameless instigator should come to apologize. Mom just loves to pretend. She definitely doesn't plan to come and apologize to Auntie. So, she deliberately turned off her phone to ignore us. Don't worry, Auntie. I'll make sure Mom comes to apologize, the loud, piercing voice of Guagua declared. If she doesn't apologize and repent to you, I won't acknowledge her as my mother. My heart is dead, and tears have dried. This perfectly describes my current state. Having endured pain and despair, I finally achieved profound enlightenment. I placed the divorce agreement on the table in front of Enzo Fu, who asked me impatiently, "What are you making a fuss about now? Didn't you learn your lesson last time?" I sincerely apologized. "I'm not making a fuss. I've held you back all these years. Just sign it, and you'll be free." Seeing that I didn't seem to be joking, Enzo Fu finally looked up and scrutinized me. "Caswin, think carefully. Playing hard to get won't work with me. I won't give you a chance to turn back." I nodded. I've thought it through very clearly. Just sign the papers. Enzo Fu's face showed irritation. "If we divorce, Guagua won't be going with you." Guagua, beside me, looked at me with disgust and snorted proudly. "I won't go with you. You can leave by yourself if you want. Once you're gone, I can have Auntie be my mom." In the past, hearing Guagua say such things would have driven me mad with anger. But now I couldn't care less. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. "Don't worry, I never thought of taking you away. From now on, whoever you want as your mother has nothing to do with me. I love Guagua to the core, and I know how hard life can be for a child without a mother's love. To give Guagua a complete family, because of Guagua's existence, I endured the relationship between Enzo Fu and Esme. Time and time again, my forbearance brought me no reward in return. Looking at the son who treats me as an enemy, I feel at peace. Everything in life is about fate. Since there is no mother-son bond between us, there's no need for me to force it. From now on, I will live for myself." After Enzo Fu signed the papers, I picked up the suitcase I had packed long ago and left the home I had lived in for 10 years. I moved to an apartment in the east of the city, which was my home before marriage. After spending the whole day tidying up my own place, I had a simple bowl of noodles, and then lay down. I slept soundly through the night without any dreams. Since marrying Enzo Fu and becoming Mrs. Fu, I haven't had such a peaceful sleep in many years. I am the eldest daughter of the Wen family, the wealthiest in the southern city, and the rightful heir of the Wen family. But everything changed when Esme Wen's mother appeared with Esme Wen and her younger brother. Esme Wen's mother was my father's mistress. Yet her eldest daughter, Esme Wen, is a year older than me. My father had been cheating on my mother with Esme Wen's mother long before it came to light. In this world, whoever holds the power of discourse holds the truth. From the day my grandfather's company declined, my father no longer hid his relationship with Esme Wen's mother. My mother, unable to bear the humiliation, chose to divorce and moved away from the Wen family with me. They say good deeds bring good rewards and evil deeds bring evil retribution. But reality has never been this way. My scumbag, heartless father's career flourished. And along with him, Esme Wen, the daughter of the mistress, rose to become the top socialite in South City. Esme Wen is talented and versatile, the darling of high society. She and her fiancé, Enzo Fu, frequently make headlines. The Won and Fu families both lived in the affluent southern part of the city, while my mother and I resided in the impoverished northern district, dozens of kilometers away from the south. I worked multiple jobs while studying to make ends meet. People like Esme Won and Enzo Fu were individuals I would never have crossed paths with in my lifetime. Yet fate forced our paths to intersect. My mother fell seriously ill and needed money for treatment, while Esme Won disappeared without a trace after being caught in an avalanche while skiing in Switzerland. The Won and Fu families didn't want to lose each other's support, so they thought of me, the abandoned discard. I agreed to the arranged marriage for my mother's medical expenses. Enzo Fu and I went from being strangers to becoming a married couple. After marriage, I quickly became pregnant and then had Guagua. Although Enzo Fu and I didn't have an emotional foundation, we still got along quite well. Enzo Fu treated me well at first. He would come home on time and have me accompany him to events. On my birthday and every holiday, I would receive gifts arranged by him right on time. Enzo Fu is good-looking and very talented. I gradually fell in love with him for our home, for our child. I was doing my best as a wife and a mother, and I thought our little family would continue to be happy like this. Unfortunately, it was just my wishful thinking. In the 8th year of my marriage to Enzo Fu, the long-lost Esme Won suddenly returned. According to Esme Won, she was rescued after the avalanche, was in a coma for 3 years, forgot many things, and only recently began to gradually recall the past. After Esme Won returned, a third person began to appear in my marriage with Enzo Fu. Enzo brought Esme Won into his company as the chief secretary. They spent every day together, and rumors began to spread everywhere. Countless times I saw news about Enzo Fu and Esme Won trending on social media. For the sake of the child, I chose to endure. I didn't want my young Guagua to become a child from a broken home. But I never imagined it was all just my wishful thinking. The child I gave birth to carries half of Enzo Fu's blood in their veins. It was this half-shared bloodline that astonishingly made him cling to the same woman as his father. I don't know when it started, but Guagua began to resent me. He disliked my overbearing control. He thought Esme Won was gentle and virtuous, always listening to him and indulging him, giving him whatever he wanted and treating him well. And I, his biological mother, was the bad one, always restricting him, always making him feel unfree. At first, when Guagua said he hated me and didn't want me to be his mother, I thought it was just childish talk. Until Guagua's 8th birthday wish was for Esme Won to be his mother, and for me to disappear forever, my heart was deeply hurt. The child I carried for 10 months rejected me as his mother so thoroughly, and I began to reflect deeply on where I had gone wrong. Later, I realized things were developing in a direction beyond my control. Guagua helped cover for Enzo Fu and Esme Won's dates, and he insulted me because of Esme Won. He even pushed me roughly for Esme Won's sake. I thought he was still young, and that as long as I reasoned with him, I could teach him to be a better person and distinguish right from wrong. Unfortunately, this was just my wishful thinking. I never knew a child could despise their own mother so much. Guagua saw me as nothing but an obstacle to the union of Enzo Fu and Esme Won, whose adoration for Esme Won knew no bounds. He wanted her to attend every parent-teacher meeting at school. He insisted on Esme Won joining sports day events and at birthday parties. He would always have one arm linked with Esme Won, and the other with Gio Nansen. He even refused to call me mom in public, claiming that having a mother like me was a disgrace. This time, Esme Won and Gio Nanchuan's inappropriate behavior during their date was caught on camera and went viral. Yet Guagua actually blamed it all on me. Waking up in the hospital, I finally understood one truth. Some people are born demons from childhood. There's no changing that. So from now on, I'm going to completely let go of Guagua. Letting go means a new beginning. For the past 10 years of being married to Enzo Fu, I have never felt at ease. I decided to start by traveling to slowly rediscover the person I once was. First, I went to Yunnan, then Tibet, followed by Inner Mongolia, and finally Xinjiang. The rolling plateaus of Yunnan and Guizhou were breathtaking. I've seen snow-capped mountains, run across endless green grasslands, and now I find myself in the vast, boundless desert, the sky filled with yellow sand. desolate yet uniquely beautiful. It made me deeply appreciate the wonders of nature. What surprised me was that whether on the Yangua Plateau, the snowy mountains of Tibet, or the grasslands of Inner Mongolia, I always saw a man wearing a hat, sunglasses, and a mask who spoke very little. I never heard him say a word, nor did I see him make a phone call. In fact, I never even saw his face. As our car passed through the uninhabited area, he sat quietly beside me, still wearing his hat, sunglasses, and mask. This strange man piqued my curiosity, and I couldn't help but glance at him a few more times. He sat quietly by the window, his gaze fixed on the desert. I couldn't make out his expression, but for some reason, I always felt there was something mysterious about him. Adventure always comes with danger. The car we were riding in had an accident while crossing the uninhabited zone. The car was stuck in the yellow sand, and the driver's satellite communication with the lead vehicle was cut off. The uninhabited area was scorching hot during the day and extremely cold at night. Our vehicle carried the tour guide, the driver, me, and that strange man. Waiting for rescue in this sweltering heat felt like waiting for death. We could only rely on ourselves. We carried water and food, preparing to trek through the uninhabited area. The sand was scorching hot, and I struggled to take each step forward. Walking just a few dozen steps felt like it would be the death of me. The guide and driver were ahead of me. Sensing someone was missing, I turned my head. I saw that strange man sitting on the ground. He had no intention of coming with us. I went back to persuade him, but he remained silent. Finally, with my mouth parched, I forcefully grabbed his hand and dragged him along. We trudged through the sand step by step, and after 3 hours of hiking, we had drunk all our water. Night had fallen. Without the scorching heat, it also brought bad news. The nighttime temperature was dozens of degrees below zero, making my teeth chatter. My legs felt as if they were filled with lead. Unable to move, I had never suffered like this before. I clearly knew I couldn't hold on any longer. I had no regrets in this life. As I managed to do what I wanted to do in my final moments, I handed over all the food I had brought to him, and also took off my cold weather clothing to give to him. Live. You must do everything in your power to live. The man stopped me. Then I watched as he took off his own coat and put it on me before crouching down to carry me on his back and trek onward. At first, I still had the strength to talk to him, but then my consciousness began to gradually fade. I vaguely remember hearing a tremendous roar, and I saw a very handsome face flash before my eyes. And then I remembered nothing. When I woke up, I found myself lying in a hospital. We had been rescued. It was said that a helicopter had spotted us and come to our aid. I didn't see that strange man. He just vanished suddenly like that. I know he's alive and well, and that's enough for me. As for that breathtakingly handsome face in my memory, I thought it was just an illusion. After resting at the hospital for 2 days, I'm ready to head back to Nanch. The cooling-off period for my divorce with Enzo Fu is almost over, and I need to rush back to get the marriage certificate. When I was about to depart, I received a call from Enzo Fu. This was the first time Enzo called me after I left. Previously, when I was in Yunnan, the housekeeper had called me, and so had the school teacher. They said Guagua got into a fight. I immediately told the teacher to contact Enzo Fu and Esme, and I didn't concern myself with these matters anymore. Enzo Fu's phone call made me think he was urging me to get a divorce. As soon as I answered, I said, "Isn't there still 3 days left? I'll be at the Civil Affairs Bureau on time in 3 days to get the divorce certificate with you." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line before Enzo Fu's voice finally spoke up. "Kazwin, Guagua has a fever. Come back and take care of him." I refused. "I don't have time. He's your own flesh and blood. How can you be so heartless?" Enzo Fu probably thought I was still the same person who revolved everything around him and Guagua. More than 20 days have passed. You should have calmed down by now. Kazwin, I'm giving you one last chance. Come see Guagua now, and our family can go back to how it was before. I held my phone and wanted to laugh, but he added, "Our son is still young. He needs his mother by his side." I finally burst into laughter. "Are you sure he needs me as his mother? I remember him telling you himself that he wanted Esme to be his mom. Why take a child's words so seriously?" Kaswin, don't be unreasonable. We have no obligation or responsibility to see him. He's your son, surnamed Fu, and has nothing to do with me. Don't come to me about his affairs in the future. Also, we'll meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 8 a.m. 3 days from now. I didn't give Enzo Fu another chance to speak and hung up the phone. 3 days later, I showed up at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau in the morning, but Enzo Fu never arrived. Enzo Fu's assistant came to the Civil Affairs Bureau and said Guagua had fallen from upstairs and broken his leg, asking me to go see him. I followed the assistant to the hospital and saw Guagua lying in bed with a cast. His leg was broken, reportedly from a fall from the second floor. Esme stood in the hospital room with tearful eyes, looking pitiful. It's all my fault. I didn't watch him properly, causing him to fall down the stairs. Enzo Fu sat exhausted on the sofa, and when he saw me enter, he unexpectedly vented his anger at me. It's all your fault. Are you satisfied now? If it weren't for your divorce and running away, how could Guagua have gotten hurt? I quietly watched Enzo Fu, waiting for him to finish shouting before calmly saying, "You are the child's father, his sole guardian." Instead of reflecting on yourself when something happens to the child, you come to question me, an outsider. Don't you think that's unreasonable, Mr. Fu? What did you say? Enzo Fu looked at me in disbelief. My use of the word outsider left Enzo Fu stunned and incredulous. I spoke softly and patiently, "Mr. Fu, my decision to divorce you comes from the heart. It's not some ploy to play hard to get. We agreed from the start that once divorced, we'd go our separate ways. Whatever happens with your son has nothing to do with me. I don't want to be involved, nor do I care. So can we hurry and go to the Civil Affairs Bureau now?" "You're insane." "Why?" Enzo Fu stared at me in shock as if suddenly recalling the reason for my indifference and quickly added, "If it's just because of Esme, I can explain. She and there's nothing between me and Esme. Kaswin, don't misunderstand us." Esme also took the initiative to explain. "Oh sure. There's nothing between you so pure and spotless. If you're so innocent, then why is a married man like you entangled with a single woman? Have you ever seen any husband spending time with another woman every other day, constantly making headlines?" I pointed at Esme and you, a single woman, calling a married man for every little thing. Don't you think that's inappropriate? If your car breaks down, call a mechanic. If your pets go missing, ask security for help. If you're sick, dial 120. But you clinging to a married man day after day. Don't you realize how shamelessly manipulative you're being? Esme's eyes welled up with tears as she looked pleadingly at Enzo Fu. I cut him off just as he was about to speak. "Stop explaining. I'm not being unreasonable. Nor am I jealous. Even if you and Esme were to sleep together right now, it has nothing to do with me. I just want to make it clear that your affairs are none of my business. Don't drag me into them. All I want now is a divorce." Esme ran out in tears while Enzo Fu angrily smashed things, the commotion loud enough to wake the sleeping Guagua. Guagua saw me and started crying pitifully, his lips trembling. I stood coldly by watching him. There was no concern or tenderness on my face, just the detached gaze of someone looking at a stranger. I thought Guagua would yell at me like before, standing up for Esme, but he didn't. He called out to me in tears, "Mommy," probably thinking that shedding a few tears would make me go over and comfort him. I didn't move, looking at him calmly. "Young Master Fu, I'm not your mother. Your mother is Esme. You've mistaken me for someone else." "Mom, don't you want me anymore?" Guagua's eyes flashed with panic, tears streaming down. "It hurts so much." I spoke calmly. "You'll have to endure the pain. And let me correct you. It's not that I don't want you, but that you have a new mother. I'm just letting you go. As we agreed. Don't you remember, young Master Fu?" Guagua was crying. Though whether from pain or something else was unclear, he kept murmuring incessantly, "Mom, talk to me. Mom, I have something important to tell you. Young Master Fu, if you have something to say it to your father. Don't tell me. I have no obligation to listen." Enzo Fu beside him was frantic. "Kaswin, must you be like this? This is the child you carried for 10 months. How can you be so heartless?" "Heartless, Mr. Fu? The one who's heartless has never been me. It's you and your son. I looked at Enzo Fu. I'm just keeping my promise to have no further involvement with you. I was never a cruel person. They drove me to this point. I can never forget the coldness of the snow that day, nor the despair when I was pushed out of the car by Guagua. My hands and feet were frozen, stiff and swollen, and the child in my belly was lost just like that. All of this was bestowed by these two people before me. They were once my family. I always thought we would support each other. But I never imagined they would hurt me like this for the sake of Esme. When I recall the experience in the no man's land where I couldn't bear to abandon a complete stranger, and in turn, they didn't abandon me either. Love and devotion go hand in hand. Even a stranger could do this much for me. Why would the man I devoted 10 years of love to and the son I worked so hard to bring into this world treat me like this? I always thought it was my fault that I wasn't good enough. Now I realize it's not me who was wrong. They were the ones at fault. Why should I waste the rest of my life on something like this? As I was leaving the hospital, the family's nanny ran out and stopped me. Madam, she instinctively used the previous form of address. You should still come back. If you don't, the young master will be killed by Miss One. Is that so? I asked indifferently. That Miss One is two-faced. She wants to be with the master. And during this time, she's moved into your home under the pretext of taking care of the young master. The nanny carefully chose her words. I can see clearly that she never intended to focus her attention on the young master. She only wants to be with the master. Every day during this time, she's dressed up elaborately to seduce him. Auntie promptly stopped herself and changed the subject. Before, she was still somewhat restrained because of you. But now that she knows you and Mr. Fu are divorced, she's become even more brazen. The little master didn't just fall accidentally. He was pushed by Esme when she pushed him. Auntie probably thought I'd be shocked or furious hearing this, but my reaction was surprisingly calm. I'd known this day would come. If Esme had any decency at all, she wouldn't have shamelessly hooked up with Enzo Fu like this. No matter how deeply in love she and Enzo Fu once were, 10 years have passed. Enzo Fu is already married with children and has a family. Any woman with a shred of self-respect and decency wouldn't shamelessly cling to someone else's husband like this. Esme provokes me, and it's with Enzo Fu's tacit approval. Her so-called kindness towards Guagua is nothing more than spoiling him to ruin. She aims to undermine me, alienate my son from me, and ultimately break me down. I've long seen through Esme Wen's schemes, which is why I once fought so hard to resist them, to prevent my husband of 10 years from being deceived by her. I tried to tell Enzo what kind of person she was, but Enzo Fu didn't believe me. Enzo didn't believe me, but I wasn't that disappointed. After all, I've always known he doesn't love me. I never expected Enzo's heart. I just thought, if I couldn't keep Enzo Fu, perhaps I could keep my own flesh and blood, my son. But I still overthink things. My son and his father have both fallen into Esme's hands. Auntie had no idea what was on my mind, and kept persuading me. Esme is too wicked. She wants the young master dead, so she can have a child with the master and monopolize the Fu family's fortune. Madam, please come back for the young master's sake. No matter what his. I cut her off. I won't go back. Everyone has their own fate. The child is Enzo Fu's. Whether he lives or dies has nothing to do with me. I won't interfere anymore. I don't think I'm being heartless. I've already done everything I possibly could. Moreover, Enzo Fu is decisive and ruthless in business. How could he not see through Esme Wen's intentions? He loves Esme Wen, and Guagua is his only son. Now it's up to him to choose, his son or the woman he loves. No matter what Enzo Fu decides, none of this has anything to do with me. I'm determined to divorce Enzo Fu with no room for compromise. Enzo Fu, however, has no idea what's going on and refuses to divorce. Today he claims to have a meeting. Tomorrow he says he's seeing a client. While he keeps making excuses to avoid taking the final step with me at the Civil Affairs Bureau, Esme thinks it's because of me. She can't wait any longer. Esme took the initiative to approach me. Without even pretending to be gentle or kind, she directly handed me a pregnancy test report. I'm pregnant. It's already been 3 months. I didn't look at the pregnancy test report when it was handed to me and smiled. And then if you're pregnant, Go find Enzo Fu. Why come to me? The child isn't mine. Esme didn't see the anger or madness she expected on my face, which disappointed her. So she continued her attack. Enzo loves me very much. He only keeps you because, after all, you've taken care of him like a servant for 10 years. Even if it were a dog, one would develop feelings after raising it for so long. So Enzo can't bear to divorce you out of consideration for your decade of motherly devotion. But I can't wait any longer. Esme held up her pregnancy test report. My baby is already 3 months old, and soon it will start showing. For the sake of my child, divorce Enzo. I'll make sure he compensates you as much as possible. I couldn't help but laugh at Esme's stunning yet shameless face. So what gives you, a mistress, the right to demand anything from me? Esme didn't expect me to remain completely unruffled, and she was furious. Caswin, Enzo doesn't love you. Not one bit. He said being with you is as dull as being in prison. Don't you feel miserable staying with a man who doesn't love you? I laughed. No, I don't. Seeing my indifference, Esme grew frantic. Caswin, I'm begging you. Okay. Divorce Enzo. Enzo is mine. You've kept him for 10 years. It's time to return him to me. I scoffed at Esme's face. Enzo Fu is yours, Esme. Don't you have any self-awareness? What avalanche? What amnesia? That nonsense might fool Enzo Fu. But do you really think everyone else is an idiot? Esme's expression changed instantly, no longer haughty. I hadn't fully believed the messages I'd received, but seeing her look made my heart sink. Could Esme really be that kind of person? I've been receiving emails from an unknown address this whole time. The emails reveal the truth about Esme's disappearance all these years. The email contains a large number of photos and videos showing Esme with another man. They hug, kiss, and do everything a married couple would do. Anyone unaware would think Esme and that man are a deeply in love couple. But isn't Esme supposed to be in love with Enzo Fu? Why are there such photos? I always thought these videos and photos were just edited, the work of someone with ulterior motives. But now, looking at Esme's expression, something seems to be breaking through the surface. Could it be that the truth behind Esme's disappearance back then was for a different reason? I stared at Esme and said word by word. You know very well what you did abroad back then, don't you? Don't act so arrogant in front of me. Push me too far and I'll expose all those shady things you've done. Esme's face turned deathly pale. She looked at me in a hurry and blurted out. How did you know? How I know is none of your business. I just want to warn you. Don't mess with me. And even though I don't want that ungrateful bastard Guagua anymore, it doesn't mean you can lay a finger on him. Whatever you do with Enzo Fu is your own business. But don't drag an innocent child into your schemes. Caswin glared at me with venom. You're threatening me. How dare you, you __. I didn't indulge Esme and publicly slapped her across the face, then splashed coffee all over her. I never expected that my confrontation with Esme would be exposed less than half an hour after I left the cafe. Esme was trending. I don't know which godly figure managed to dig up all the dirt on Esme and Enzo Fu. Cheating men and shameless mistresses are always hot topics, and the trending headline was explosive enough. It clearly recounted the entanglement between Enzo Fu and Esme over the past 2 years. For a time, the internet was filled with curses, and both Esme and Enzo Fu were severely criticized. Esme became a public enemy, and Enzo Fu didn't fare well either. He angrily called to confront me. Caswin, how could you distort the truth like this? I was wrong about you. I cut off his interrogation. Instead of wasting time questioning me, you'd better get the divorce done, and make your mistress official. I'll meet you at the Civil Affairs Bureau right now. Enzo Fu still refused to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I didn't have time to listen to his excuses and hung up directly, looking at the still trending hot search. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this whole situation. Who has it out for Esme so badly that they dig up her past like this? First sending me emails, then getting Esme trending. What exactly does this person mean? Esme has been utterly humiliated. She definitely won't let it go. I've always felt someone as vicious and shameless as her would do something. Sure enough, my instincts were right. Esme's revenge came swiftly. Ever since I realized Esme was no good, I've been very cautious. But no matter how careful I was, it was useless after all. I still had to go out that day. As soon as I stepped out, I was abducted with my mouth gagged and eyes blindfolded as I was forced into a car. All I could think was, I'm definitely going to die. The people who abducted me drove the car to the outskirts, completely disregarding my presence. They brazenly discussed their plans right in front of me. The mastermind behind this wants to ruin my reputation. So they paid these people to harm me. They planned to take turns assaulting me while filming it, and even intended to disfigure my face to make my life a living hell. Those deranged guys took me to an abandoned warehouse in the suburbs. Then, with a sinister laugh, they prepared to assault me. I thought I was done for, but at the last moment, someone appeared. A group of black-clad figures descended from the sky and rescued me, leaving those villains beaten to a pulp. I stared blankly at the man surrounded by black-clad figures, as if in a dream. He had an astonishingly handsome face, one I had seen when I was unconscious in no man's land. I had thought it was a hallucination. Now he stood before me, alive and real. I gaped at him, shocked and unable to believe my eyes. The man took off his coat and draped it over my barely clothed body, then half carried me away. The soothing sandalwood scent on him put me at ease as I was taken to the hospital for a checkup. I was just frightened. There was nothing wrong with me physically. When I finished the examination and came out, Enzo Fu had rushed over, accompanied by my cheating scumbag of a father and Esme 1, his mistress turned stepmother. My scumbag father yelled at me furiously. Caswin, what the hell are you trying to do? Why did you send your sister to the police station? Caswin's mistress mother was also crying. Caswin, we've treated you so well. How could you repay kindness with injustice and falsely accuse your sister? The useless scumbag father raged in fury. I'm warning you. Go to the police station immediately to withdraw the kidnapping charges against your sister. This is slander. I didn't report to the police, nor do I have any evidence to prove those people were instructed by Esme 1. Yet Esme was arrested. The only person I can think of who could have done this is the man who saved me. It must have been him who helped me. Why would he help me? I couldn't think of a reason. Staring at my furious scumbag father, I asked, what if I refuse? My scumbag father roared. If you don't listen to me, I won't let you off the hook. How do you plan to treat me? Can you explain in detail? I sneered at the scumbag father, still using my mother to threaten me. Making me your pawn. You should know my mother has been gone for 4 years, right? The scumbag father averted his gaze uncomfortably and softened his tone. I know you're angry, but you can't just make baseless accusations against your sister like this. She has such a good temper and personality. You shouldn't treat her this way. Baseless slander against Esme when I have no idea how that scumbag father of mine could say such a thing. I have no power or influence. What ability do I have to slander Esme 1? If Esme 1 was arrested, it must be because she did something. I don't believe the police would wrongfully accuse someone for no reason. I scoffed and turned to Enzo Fu, who had remained silent the whole time. Do you also think I framed your beloved? That my kidnapping wasn't her doing? Enzo Fu remained silent for a moment before speaking. Caswin, as long as you promise to let Esme 1 go, we won't get a divorce. I'll make sure Esme leaves my company, and I guarantee there will be no further contact between us. I looked at Enzo Fu's handsome face and laughed. You really have some nerve, don't you? But your words just reminded me of something. I enunciated each word clearly. I can let your beloved Esme off the hook. But I have one condition. My condition was to divorce Enzo Fu. If he signed the papers without hesitation, I would let Esme go without pursuing the matter further. To prevent Esme from going to jail, Enzo Fu agreed. The long-delayed divorce finally came to an end. I felt a great sense of relief after obtaining the divorce certificate and leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau. I immediately blocked Enzo Fu and everyone connected to him without hesitation. From now on, I'm going to start a brand new life in high spirits. I bought groceries to prepare a feast for myself as a reward. The meal was just freshly prepared when someone knocked on the door. Opening the door, I saw a face so stunning it took my breath away. I stammered. You. Why are you here? The man's gentle eyes gazed at me, and his deep cello-like voice sounded. Hello, I'm Gufei. I'm your next-door neighbor. Could you invite me in for a while? I don't know why I stepped aside. After Gufei entered, I poured him a cup of tea. He sat on the sofa in my living room and said, I'm a bit hungry. Could you cook me a bowl of noodles? I didn't cook the noodles. Instead, I invited him to have a meal with me to celebrate my return to singlehood. From that day on, Gus settled in next door to me. He claimed to be a painter. He frequently came over to my place to freeload meals and drinks. I don't know why, I just can't refuse. Gu and I are practically life and death friends. We ventured through uninhabited zones together. I pulled him through the scorching heat of the day, and he carried me through the long, freezing nights. Then he saved my life when I was in critical danger. Gu's identity is definitely unusual. Otherwise, there's no way to explain the numerous black-suited bodyguards he had with him that day. But I didn't press further. Gu and I weren't that close. And even if we were, I don't have the habit of prying into others' privacy. Gufei didn't talk much. He liked to paint, and so did I. We would sit together painting, not saying a word. He with his work, and I with mine. When tired, we'd eat together, and then each return to our own homes. In Gufei, I saw the tranquility I adore, and I truly cherished the time spent with him. I thought our relationship would continue like this, just as friends. Then one evening, Gu drank heavily for reasons unknown. I made him a hangover soup. After drinking it, he lay down on the sofa in my house and fell asleep. In the middle of the night, I covered him with a blanket, and he suddenly opened his eyes and hugged me. He gently called me swear. And for some reason, my heart melted with tenderness. Because of that swear, because of his tender, watery eyes, I was lost in him. The next morning when I woke up, Gufei was still in my house and hadn't left. He clumsily cooked a bowl of noodles for me, then asked while I was eating, I'm already yours. What do you plan to do with me? I nearly choked, staring at him in shock. Gufei's eyes sparkled with amusement. I've thought it through carefully. I'm yours now, and you must take responsibility for me. I had always thought he was indifferent, calm, and cared about nothing. I never expected Gufei to be like this, so shameless. He forced me to take responsibility and moved into my home without even asking. Our relationship remained the same as before. Painting, eating, resting. The only difference was that during rest time, I was no longer alone. It became the two of us. Gufei's presence made me forget all the previous unhappiness. He not only can paint, but also play the piano. He tells me stories with his rich, cello-like voice and brings me to ecstasy. I thoroughly enjoy everything with Gufei, and all past grievances have faded from my mind. If Enzo Fu hadn't suddenly shown up at my door, I would have completely forgotten that I was once married and had a child. The day Enzo Fu came knocking was my birthday. Gufei had prepared flowers for me and even cooked dinner himself. We turned off the lights and were making wishes over the cake when the doorbell rang. I got up and opened the door, seeing Enzo Fu and Guagua standing at the entrance. Enzo Fu was holding a cake and a bouquet of flowers, while Guagua carried a beautifully wrapped gift. I blocked them at the doorway. What's up? Today is your birthday. Guagua and I came to celebrate with you. Sorry, I don't need you. Please go back to where you came from. Caswan, what happened before was my fault. I didn't know. A rare look of guilt appeared on Enzo Fu's face. I didn't know you were pregnant. I thought, I'm sorry about the child. Guagua also apologized. Mom, I promise I'll never disobey you again. Will you forgive me? Let's start over as a family. Yes, we have Guagua. Caswan, all the past wrongs were my fault. I will treat you well. I swear, Esme, when I've already made her leave the company, I will never have the slightest connection with her again. Gufei walked up behind me during Enzo Fu's assurances. When Enzo Fu saw Gufei clearly, his expression was as if struck by lightning. He stammered. How could you be here? Gufei reached out and embraced me. Why shouldn't I be here? Caswan, this is my boyfriend, I said calmly. Enzo Fu's face turned pale. He must have recognized Gufei, and seemed about to say something. Gufei cut him off. I'm about to celebrate my girlfriend's birthday. Please leave, both of you. He said this with a smile. But Enzofu actually didn't dare to look at Gufei, turning around to pull Guagua away. I keenly sensed something was off. Do you know Enzofu? Sort of, Gufei replied with a smile. Let's blow out the candles first, and we can continue making wishes. I didn't think much of it after all. The Fu family was considered top tier in Nanch. It's probably normal that Gufei knows Enzofu. I made a wish and blew out the candles. Gufei gave me a birthday gift, a very exquisite turquoise bracelet. He personally put the bracelet on my hand. That night, we lingered together until very late, completely exhausted. When I woke up in the morning, Gufei was gone, but breakfast was laid out on the table. As I was eating breakfast, the doorbell rang again. I opened the door and saw Enzofu standing there like a lingering ghost. What exactly do you want? I was quite impolite. Enzofu's voice was uncharacteristically gentle. Caswin, let's talk. What's there to talk about after the divorce? Mr. Fu, I don't want to see you at all. Caswin, I have something very important to tell you. I reluctantly let Enzofu in. He sat down in the living room and stared blankly for a while at the painting on the wall that Gufei and I had created. Then his gaze swept around the room and landed on the easel. His voice strained as he said, You actually like painting and you're so good at it, Mr. Fu. Just state your purpose directly. Caswin, I never intended to divorce you. I just thought you were acting out of anger. I thought after we both cooled down if I made Esmewon leave you would come back. I laughed. Mr. Fu, is this all you have to say to me after not divorcing me? Have you realized you've fallen in love with me? How cliché is that? But I'm not moved at all. I just find it utterly disgusting. Enzofu's face flashed with embarrassment. Caswin, I know you don't believe me, but I've truly realized I've fallen in love with you. I once thought the person I loved was Esmewon. But now I understand that Esmewon was just an unattainable desire from my youth. While you are already connected to me by blood, I felt so disgusted I wanted to vomit. Do I need to remind you that Esmewon is pregnant? President Fu, your behavior of eyeing the pot while eating from the bowl is truly revolting. Enzofu's expression turned extremely grim as he stared deeply at me. Caswin, I know you hate me. I'm truly sorry for the past, and I genuinely want to reconcile with you from the bottom of my heart. We have Guagua. Can't you consider our child and not break up? No, I've been entangled with you for 10 years because of Guagua. Enzofu, I should have walked away when Esme returned, but I softened because of the child. For the sake of the child, I endured 2 years of torment from you and Esmewon. Have you forgotten how you and Esmewon were all over each other? How you unfairly blamed me for everything? But I remember, don't I? I whispered. It took me a painful lesson to escape that hellhole. Why would I ever go back? Enzofu hung his head. I'm sorry about the child. I didn't know you were pregnant. I really didn't know enough. I refuse to dwell on the past, Mr. Fu. There's no going back for us. I'd rather die than be with someone like you. Enzofu finally understood my feelings, his face turning ashen. I know I've hurt you, but Cassin, after 10 years of marriage, I must tell you one thing. Gay is not a good man. I stared coldly at Enzofu as he continued. He's from the Gu family in the capital, the most ruthless among them. Do you know how cruel he is? To gain control of the Gu family, he even abandoned his own mother. A man who would kill his mother has no capacity for mercy. Cassin, I genuinely care for your well-being. Leave Gufei. I remember the sight of Gufei sitting in the desert, his face covered with a mask and his eyes hidden behind sunglasses, though I don't know why. Strangely, I could sense his sorrow and pain, a shared grief so palpable that it compelled me to approach him, to persuade him, and to pull him up without hesitation. I don't know if what Enzofu said was true. All I know is when I was on the brink of death, Gufei never gave up on me. My own flesh and blood, the son I gave everything for, abandoned me. Yet Gufei, a stranger, did not give up on me. That is enough. Gufei returned only after 3 days. He was traveling. But the moment he stepped through the door, he clearly looked happy. I made dinner as usual, with Gufei clumsily helping by my side. We had dinner just like before, and after the meal, Gay went to do the dishes. I sat on the sofa unwrapping the gift he had brought for me. The phone suddenly rang, and seeing an unfamiliar number, I chose to decline the call. The other party kept calling persistently, so I answered, only to hear my scumbag dad's furious voice. "Did you put Guagua up to this? You ungrateful wretch. How could you be so vicious?" I was baffled. "If you're sick, go see a doctor instead of bothering me. I never thought you could be so malicious and shameless. Why would you do this to Esme when she's your sister? How did I raise someone like you?" I hung up on my scumbag dad, completely confused, then saw the news alert. Turns out something happened to Esme when after Enzo Fu and I divorced. Esme when was strutting around pregnant, spreading rumors that her child was Enzo Fu's. Enzo Fu's parents always liked Esme 1, and as soon as they found out she was pregnant, they immediately started pushing Enzo Fu to be with her. It was supposed to be a natural progression, but for some inexplicable reason, Enzo Fu went crazy and refused to reconcile with Esme 1. Even Guagua acted out of character and started a fight with Esme when adamantly refusing to let her in. He even claimed that Esme 1 was two-faced, malicious and shameless, trying to harm him. Of course, the Fu family didn't believe Guagua's words, thinking it was me, a divorced woman, who was instigating him. They announced the matter between Esme 1 and Enzo Fu at the Fu family's dinner party. Despite Guagua's objections, then in a fit of rage, Guagua pushed Esme 1 down the stairs. Esme suffered severe bleeding, lost the child and was physically injured. It is said that her uterus was removed, and she will never be able to have children again in this lifetime. My scumbag father and Esme 1's mistress mother were furious when they found out. They believed I was the one who instructed Guagua to do all this, trying to pin the blame on me. I never imagined that even after conceding so much, they would still slander me like this. My scumbag father and Esme 1's mistress mother despised me to the core, spreading rumors everywhere that I was the one who told Guagua to do all this. They forced Enzo Fu to take responsibility for Esme, when threatening to escalate the situation if he refused. After I hung up, my scumbag father sent me a vicious message. "For the sake of your precious son, you'd better make him obediently accept Esme. Otherwise I'll expose everything to the media. You wouldn't want to see your son's reputation ruined, would you?" They were certain I would do anything for Guagua. They were really bullying me too much. Furious, I threw my phone across the room. Guffey took off his apron and walked over to me, pulling me into his embrace. He gently kissed my face as if I were some precious treasure. He said, "Don't be afraid. Don't be angry. Leave it to me to handle. I promise I'll handle it well." I didn't expect Gu's solution to be so straightforward and brutal. Photos and videos of Esme from her years abroad quickly appeared on the trending searches. The man who was with Esme also made a public appearance, admitting to everything that happened with her overseas. Esme never experienced an avalanche at all. She simply fell for someone else. That was a wealthy Chinese businessman Esme met abroad. He and Esme fell in love at first sight, and quickly became deeply infatuated with each other. Esme was captivated by the man's tenderness. Yet she couldn't bear to give up her position as the young madam of the Fu family. Esme has always preferred to plan everything in advance. She wanted that wealthy Chinese businessman, but also sought to control Enzo Fu as a fallback for the future. So, she and her mistress mother fabricated the so-called avalanche. It must be said that Esme 1's intuition was very accurate. The man Esme found after giving her 6 years of luxurious life failed in his investments, and went from being a millionaire to being in debt without abundant material comforts. Love also changed its flavor. Esme no longer found the man gentle. Seeing the business of Enzo Fu, whom she had abandoned back then, grow bigger and bigger, she became envious. Esme wanted to reclaim everything that was hers, so she divorced her debt-ridden husband and returned to China. Then she fabricated a lie and began getting close to Enzo Fu. Enzo Fu still had lingering feelings for her, so the two of them started an on-and-off relationship. She interfered in my marriage with Enzo Fu, using feigned gentleness and kindness to win over my husband and capture my son's affection. In private, she still keeps in touch with her debt-ridden husband, who refuses to accept being discarded like this, threatening Esme when she had no choice but to play along with him. The child in her womb is her debt-ridden husband's, and she plans to pass it off as Enzo Fu's to force him into marriage. Esme, when secrets were exposed, leaving her completely uncovered. The internet is filled with scathing criticism. The Fu family, knowing the truth, naturally wouldn't allow such a vicious woman like Esme to enter their household. My scumbag father and Esme's mistress mother still plan to suppress these revelations for Esme. Unfortunately, they stand no chance against absolute capital power. Esme's scandal remained on the hot search list for a full month. Esme was utterly humiliated. The One family lost face, and the Fu family was also embarrassed. It wasn't just about losing face. The One family's company suddenly faced a major crisis. They encountered serious tax issues, and the tax bureau sent officials to begin auditing their accounts. The bank refused to grant loans, and partners began withdrawing their investments. The once thriving One family finally collapsed. On the day the One family fell, the court delivered a subpoena. The police also started making arrests, and all members of the One family were taken into custody. The scumbag father and his illegitimate son are the legal entities guilty of tax evasion, while Esme and her mistress mother are charged with smuggling and selling prohibited drugs, as well as hiring hitmen for murder. It is said that all 4 members of their family face a minimum sentence of 15 years. The Fu family, closely associated with the One family, also finds it hard to escape unscathed. Unlike the One family, which collapsed and ended up in prison, the Fu family suffered heavy losses, but managed to avoid complete ruin. Enzo Fu's expansion plans were thwarted, and more than half of his existing companies had shut down. As for me, I had no time to revel in his downfall and helplessness. I was busy selecting wedding dresses and preparing for the marriage. Gay proposed to me, a kind I had no room to refuse. I'm pregnant, having experienced hurt and betrayal. I was originally very afraid of marriage. I didn't expect a child either. But Gufei changed my mindset. I forgot all past unhappiness in his tender care, wholeheartedly wanting only to be a beloved woman. When I married Enzo Fu back then, there was no wedding, just a marriage certificate. I entered the Fu family as a penal substitute for Esme, and now Gay has fulfilled my dream. Our wedding was grand. After marriage, Gufei has always treated me well, cherishing me as if I were the apple of his eye. I have asked Gufei more than once, "Why did you choose a divorced woman like me?" Gufei held me in his arms and said, "Because of you, I was reborn. From being determined to die to changing my mind and wanting to live, it was all for you." Back then, he was condemned by everyone, bearing endless accusations. It was an overwhelming wave of public opinion that could drive even someone as resolute as him to madness. Gay, falsely accused of matricide, wanted to give up. He handed his company over to someone he trusted, planning to take one last look at the world before quietly leaving. The uninhabited zone was his final choice. He intended to lie in the scorching desert, where temperatures soared to dozens of degrees, and become a mummified corpse. It was I, a complete stranger, who pulled him back with reckless determination. I desperately dragged him forward under the scorching sun, and my longing for life moved him. So when he carried me out through the cold desert night, he found new hope. He used a satellite phone to call for rescue. I became his only hope for survival. When the whole world betrays you, it doesn't mean you're abandoned. Rather, it's the beginning of something new. As long as there's still one person in this world who cares about you, you should keep living. Your future still holds hope.